How does owner financing work for the seller? Is this a good idea to sell your house on seller financing? Should you be considering it, or is this a terrible idea? Hey there, my name is Mike Fritz. I'm the founder of Titanium Capital Investments in the multifamily CEO system. My greatest passion is helping real estate investors just like you create financial freedom with multifamily real estate. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 5 things you need to know about owner financing when you're going to sell your house. The very first thing you need to know when you're going to sell your house owner financing is what terms are you going to set up with the buyer. And there's a few terms that are very important in the owner financing discussion. The very first one is your down payment. Are you going to require the buyer to bring a down payment to the table? Now, I would encourage everybody who's going to sell their house on seller financing to definitely require a down payment. You want the buyer to have a little bit of skin in the game, so they're treating the property well, and so you're making sure that they're a really qualified buyer. If they don't have a down payment to put down on the property, it doesn't mean that they'd be a bad buyer, but what it does is it qualifies your buyer. If you have at least a $5,000 or a $10,000 down payment, or you can even do up to 15-20% as a down payment, just like a bank would, then it really makes sure the buyer has to go through a hoop and almost self-qualify. Because if they have the money to put down on the property and they put money on the property, the chances of them walking away and not making the payments is extremely low because they have some skin in the game and they don't want to lose that money. The second thing you want to negotiate is the interest rate. What type of interest rate should you be charging when you do owner financing for your property? Well, let me tell you, the first thing you need to know is what are the banks charging? And you should charge at least 1 to 2% more than banks. So if banks are charging 4%, you should be aiming at 6%. 5 to 6% would be a good range, and some sellers are even charging as much as 7% because they're charging a premium in the interest rate for not having to go to the bank. When you go to the bank, you have to qualify for the loan, they have to look into your finances, and because you're not doing that, and they don't have to do that, and they don't have to have their credit score checked and all of these things, you can charge a premium in the interest rate from bringing that service to a buyer. So I would look at 1 to 2% at least higher than a bank. Now, because interest rates are so low right now, they're in the 3%, I wouldn't go below 6% because, again, you want to make sure you're getting paid a premium for offering the service on selling your home, seller financing. The third part of setting up the terms is deciding on a sale price. And by the way, because you're selling your house seller financing, you can sell it above market value. Even though the market might say your house is worth $200,000, if you're selling seller financing, you can charge a premium in the price as well. You can charge it for $210,000 or sell it for $220,000. As long as the numbers still work for the buyer, you can start charging a little bit more. In fact, as a side note, I teach the people buying houses seller financing to make sure they know they can actually pay more than a house is worth as long as the numbers work. So you as a seller can check if the numbers work, sell that property for a little bit more and you can generate more revenue for bringing that service. The fourth part of the terms you want to negotiate is the amortization. The amortization is simply the length at which the loan would be paid off if every payment was made. So if you amortize the loan over 25 years, you take 25 years worth of those payments with the interest, and if they made that payment every single year for 25 years, that loan is amortized over 25 years. I would encourage you to amortize the loan in the 20 to 30 range. The higher you amortize the loan, meaning if you amortize it at 30 years, the lower those monthly payments are going to be. The lower the years, at 20 years, the higher those payments are going to be. So you can find the payment that feels comfortable to you and amortize the loan for that distance. And the fifth thing you need to discuss inside the terms is if a balloon payment or a balloon option is in place. Now, what that means is if you amortize the loan over 20 years, a balloon payment means it's done in a certain amount of years. So, for example, I've bought properties that had a 30-year amortization, meaning I was making payments as though I was going to pay it off in 30 years, but it had to be paid off in 5 years. That's called a balloon payment. A 5-year balloon means I've got to pay the house off in 5 years, no matter how much I've paid off. The idea here is that the house will increase in value at 5 years and you can refinance it. And by refinancing it, it's going to increase enough in value. You can refinance it, switch it to a traditional lender, and pay off the loan to the seller. And the sixth part of the terms you want to negotiate is what happens if delinquency of payment takes place? What happens if they don't make a payment? In the terms, you want to make sure that's clearly articulated in your contract. If they don't make a payment, is there some sort of late fee? And if they don't make so many payments, at what point do you get the house back? And you have to really set that up ahead of time to make sure you're protected against somebody who just decides not to pay or may lose a job and can't make the payments. The second way owner financing works for the seller is simply they're making monthly payments to you instead of paying the bank. So every month you're going to get a mortgage and interest payment just like the bank. So instead of them writing that mortgage payment to the bank, they're writing it to you. So you're going to get paid not only on your principal on the property, but you're also going to get paid interest at that 6, maybe 7% interest rate. You're going to get paid interest every single month on your property. As a side note here, I would have a contract attorney or real estate attorney draw this up for you and make sure all those terms are in place and make sure you also lay out the payment structure in place. How much is the monthly payment? What's included in that payment? And how is it going to happen? What's the payment schedule? Have an attorney draw all that up so everybody's on the same page and you're covered with the investment. Number 3, you have to decide when you get the house back. You have to put a clause in the contract that protects you if the seller can't make the payment. And a clause inside that contract can make sure that you get the house back after a certain time if it's not paid. The way I would set it up is there's a stiff late fee if the payment isn't made. And I would also say after 90 days, if no payments have been made, the house is transferred back into the owner and then you have a renter. So now if you do have to get your house back, then you often have to go through an eviction process to get them out. This is why a down payment is really important, because people that have a down payment and skin in the game, they're going to find a way to come up with that payment so you're not put in this situation. Before we go to the next 2 tips, make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit that bell notification so you get notified every time we put out a video. We love teaching real estate and helping people create financial freedom. We'd love to add you to our family. Smash that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button. Now let's get back to the video. The fourth way it works for the owner is the seller pays the taxes, right? But here's what you have to be careful with in letting them pay the taxes. What if they don't pay the taxes and all of a sudden your credit gets hit and you get a fine for non-payment of taxes? So what a lot of sellers do, and I would encourage you to do this, is just like a bank, escrow the taxes into the mortgage payment. So when they pay each month, you actually write the tax bill until the property's paid off and you transfer the title to them. So what I would do is increase the amount of payment, the monthly payment they're making. So you write one tax bill a year or a winter and a summer, however it's set up in where you own the property, but make sure that the taxes are escrowed in with the payment. That way, you're not having to ask for proof of taxes paid and you're just taking care of that piece of the deal. And you make sure that those taxes get paid. And the fifth thing you need to know about owner financing is they pay the insurance. But insurance is really important. 2 things need to happen. Number 1, you need to be on the insurance, and the insurance company will actually require you to be on in most cases. So what I would do, in the same way we're going to escrow the taxes in, I would escrow the insurance in and have one payment that included the mortgage and interest, the taxes, and the insurance, just like a bank does. For the same reason a bank wants to pay that insurance, you should want to pay that insurance. A bank wants to pay insurance because they are loaning 70 to 80% of the project. They have way more skin in the game than the buyer does. So if that place burns down and it's not insured, the bank's on the hook for a lot more money. The same is true of you. If you own that home and you're selling it and it's not insured, you have a lot more to lose than they do. They lose their down payment, you lose all your equity. So escrow the taxes and insurance in and make sure that insurance is paid so that you can make sure the whole property is insured and covered and you don't have anything to worry about. Now, the power of selling owner financing is you get monthly cash flow. They take care of 100% maintenance. You don't ever get a call again, and you get to earn on the interest instead of the bank. And get this, you also get a major tax benefit. Because if you sold that house, you'd have to pay taxes on that right away. But on seller financing, it stretches those taxes out, and by you charging interest for selling it on owner financing, the interest will often cover the taxes. So you often sell your house tax-free if you stretch it out long enough. And this is one of the powers of selling and owner financing. So I would encourage you to do this if you can make it happen financially. I have a training I've created called Seller Financing Secrets. It basically teaches all the ins and outs of seller financing. If you go in the description and you go to sellerfinancingsecrets.com, you're going to see a page that explains this product and how it really can help you navigate this whole process. So I hope to see you in the training.